I realized I have to fix my glasses. There we go. What is up, everybody? How is everybody doing? Good, I hope. It has been a while since we've done a Fire Lotus actual live. There's so much other things that I should be doing right now, but am I doing them? No, I'm not. It's called procrastination. Hello. How is everybody doing? I'm about to attempt, if I can see this, to share my live. There we go. But how is everybody doing? Thank you. And he is doing good. He is actually currently right now at work. He'll actually probably, hopefully be soon, or be on his way home with like in the next hour. But he's doing good. And hello, everybody. We go back to his doctor's I want to say in March or April. There we go. By the way, today is a low energy day. My energy is very low. But what is up? How is everybody doing? See, I was going to wear these, but I got to fix them. They're slightly bent, and that's driving me crazy. And we are, there we go. We also have a special visitor. Little Baphomet. I was actually rewatching your older videos. Lots of good information. Oh, thank you! And yes, one day I'm planning on going back and editing those and being able to slice them up to where it's just straight knowledge throughout like most of it. I don't know why I picked that filter. There we go. And hopefully I will be back into making lives like that. No, stop. You cannot chew on that. No. That is an iron nail, buddy. You don't need to be chewing on an iron nail. I'm also getting back into going live because, I don't know, it's been weird. Like, we were talking about it on the TikTok live. Like, there's just so much going on right now. Yes, we do. I also need to get back into reading more. But I don't think there's actually... Let me check that really quick. There was a book that I mentioned earlier. I forgot who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody about folk magic. And we actually... There's a new book that was released. Are you kidding me? No, you're not. Damn it. Oh, no, wait, I can do this. It's on folk magic. But the way that it's written is slightly different. What do we do? No, I don't want to edit. I want to go. There we go. Sorry, when I signed into my phone, or when I signed into my new phone with everything, it signed me out on a couple of things. And I forgot that, so I'm going to my own wish list. Where's that? Ah! It's called Dream Witchery, Folk Magic Recipes and Spells from South America for Witchy and Brujas. I'll make a post about it on Facebook. But it's supposed to be really good, and then... What is the other? There's another one that's called Mountain Magic. Explore the Secrets of Old-Time Witchcraft, and it's by Rebecca Byers. I did not know that book was out, so I will be getting that. But I plan on making a few videos, because with some upgrades that I'll be going through within the next week, primarily tomorrow, I plan on YouTube aspect, I plan on sharing more of my personal practice. And the reason that is because if I were to show a lot, if anybody who's watching this joined my first class that I had, you'll know what I mean by that. But there's a lot of things that I have in my personal practice that if I were to post on certain platforms, I would get canceled like that. So I'm going to use YouTube to do that. So there will be a few videos where either A, I will be doing a full-on spell working from start to finish, or it may be in the middle of like me doing a community candle, which is currently burning on my altar now, and kind of more tips of how I do my practice. Hello, so happy to see you too, and thank you. But yeah, it's weird because my practice has changed a lot. I've gotten out of certain things. Some things I need to reinvest in. But it's a weird place for me. They're good actually. I actually just recently reestablished that connection. So last year, at the very end of last year, I got to a point to where I couldn't really... For one, I couldn't really afford to, but I also couldn't get out there every day and, like, feed them. So, I think it was actually on... No, it was the 31st? The 30th or the 31st, I started feeding them again. And now it's just like clockwork. Every day they're out there calling for food. So, slowly re-establish that relationship. I have a feeling that I have a spirit who is reaching out to me. Yay. But, with this new upgrade, though, I'll be able to go live more. I'll be able to stream more. And then you also helped me remind... You just helped... Oh my god, brain. English. You just helped remind me... There we go. Remind me of something that I need to get out of a chest. And, well, now I have to redo my altar. But anyways, how are y'all doing? How was y'all's New Year? How was Christmas? Your holidays? And, I'll probably be on here for, like, maybe 15 more minutes. And then I actually have to get up and do things that I'm slightly procrastinating about now. And I will be pulling 3 of these cards. I feel you on that one. But I have a feeling that the hardness are the rough spots that everybody's going through. I have a feeling they're going to be calming down very soon. Oh, holy shit! There we go. I hope that went well. You were the only cat that I've ever had that does not like me shuffling my cards. Here, you're about to fall out of my lap. Hi. Nice. How do you remove dark entities from yourself? Multiple ways. Theoretically, it would take a multiple session removal. Some people would say exorcist, but I don't really like to use the term exorcist because possession is a very complex topic. But it would take I'd say about, depending on the energy, it would take about a 2 to 3 month process of repetitively doing things like cleansing showers, cleansings, removal of negative energy, along the things of like that. But it would be a repetitive process, and depending on how, I'm going to use the term strong the connection is, would be how long and or how aggressive is not the right word, how, I don't like using the term powerful either, how extensive, there we go, the cleansings and removals would be, is depending on that. God, I hope so. I love your readings. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm working on 2 different new types of readings, but I gotta work out a couple of kinks before I can do that. Of course, of course. The results were interesting. My ancestors called me out. Oh, I love when that happens. Mine calls me out all the time. Literally all the time. It's the reason I don't read for myself. It's one of the reasons I don't read for myself. But also, Stephen, a key factor to that is the right mind state. So when it comes to, I'm going to use the term possession, typically, because there are multiple different types and things like that, it depends. But normally, say you go somewhere or something happens and you have a negative attachment that attaches to you. It's not going to be like in the movies where it goes from full-on possession. You're going to go through the stage of what is called oppression. And in that stage of oppression, basically, what the intent or the idea of that is, it's depending on the person, they have their own protection, right? Their own personal power. That negative energy is going to affect things to where that will slowly dwindle. Specifically, and it's ironic that this conversation is coming up because it came up in my TikTok live. When doing workings or things like that, mental state is key. The reason that is a lot of people, when they hear that, they're like, oh, well, it's because, you know, you don't need any negative emotions. No, that's not it. Mental state is key because if you're in a depressive episode or if you're in a low episode, you kind of let certain fences down, and that's normally when a spirit will use it, or a person who's doing workings will use it as their in. It's just a glimpse, a split second of that wall coming down, something can slip in. So with the oppression aspect, that's what they're going to do. They're going to cause fights. They're going to cause arguments. They're going to basically, depending on the entity, completely isolate you and get you alone. It's just like being with a narcissist or an abusive person, physically and emotionally. They're going to do everything they can to where you're not going to be able to sleep. You're not going to want to eat. Literally, they are slowing your body down and weakening your body in the mundane aspect, but also on a spiritual and mental level of an aspect as well, and they use that to get in. And then, if oppression is fully successful, that's when it bleeds off into possession. And possession is going to be different depending on the type of entity and everything like that. That's also like if you're ever going to go to a graveyard, a cemetery, more importantly, which is not talked about enough, if you're going to a place that has a very long, extensive history, and that history is basically bloody and like not good history, you need to make sure that you are protected on every aspect. Physical charms in the physical world, but also the spiritual side, and to make sure mentally you're in a good place. Now, obviously that place is going to be different depending on who you are, but you need to make sure that you're in a good place to where something can't use that to weaken it and slip in. Because to be honest, I don't think I've ever said this, I've been possessed once. A week-long event or anything like that. It was about 2 or 3 days. I didn't realize it, but certain things played out to where I completely lost control, as in I went from being in the driver's side to I was kind of sitting way, way back in the back, and I could see everything that was happening, but there was absolutely nothing that I could do with it. And it sucked. Oh my god, did it suck. And it took a very, very long amount of time for me to be able to relieve that of what it was. It wasn't a possession, really, is more along the lines of an attachment, but attachment got to the point due to where I was mentally and just in life, where it kind of started being like the puppet master, where it was pulling strings where I didn't want strings being pulled. I bought a root of High John the Conquering for one of the oils. Oh, that is awesome. Make sure you awaken the High John the Conquering. Awaken it, or wake it up, and try to connect with it before adding it to the oils. And some people will tell you don't do this, but depending on this specimen that you got of it, I have 2 of them that were sent to me. Well, one was sent to me and I ordered the other 2. I actually went to the thinnest part of it, and with a very sharp knife, I slightly clipped a piece off, and then I used that piece in my oils. But yeah, just make sure it's taken care of. Make sure you create a relationship with it, and it gets on a period where it's kind of like a sweetening jar, where you periodically feed it. But yeah, make sure you do all that, and the workings that that can do, and the things that that can help in. Mwah, chef's kiss. I love it. My next herb that it is Devil's Shoelace. And then I have a friend in the UK who owns a witchy store. Due to a stitch of a video that I did, I'm going to get my hands on devil pods, and I'm so fucking excited. Or I think they're actually called horseshoe cashew. Horseshoe cashew. That's not right. What is it? Fucking, it's a type of nut. That sounded wrong. I think it's horse cashews. I could be wrong on that. I'll look it up and make a post on my Facebook page or Instagram. Of course, of course, of course. And if you get to the point where you start making mojo bags, let me know, and I'll send you some tips too that I learned. And for anybody who is interested in anything that we're talking about right now, Conjure Credia here on YouTube, and Lady Grave Dancer. Mwah, chef's kiss, amazing creators. They have a lot of knowledge on it though. But yeah, when it comes to mojo bags, let me know when you get to that point, and I'll send you some tips that came in clutch with mine. So, because some of the, before I say this, I know every practitioner is different, but some of the books and videos that you can find on how to properly feed mojo bags and things like that, they kind of go a little bit over the top. And the easiest way to basically state that is when you go to feed it, if you're feeding it with oils, instead of using half a bottle of oil like what they do on candles, a tiny amount right here on the drop of your, or like a drop on your finger, and then rub it in on the bag will feed it perfectly. But that also helps preserve the length of how long it can go before it just gets a little oily and nasty. Also, anybody who doesn't listen to a lot of online stuff, we have multiple eclipses this year, and some of those eclipses are going to play hand in hand with retrogrades. So if you like to, the website / app that I use, it's free, and this is not sponsored, Astromatrix. Astromatrix. The only thing that you will need for that website to be able, or any website, to be able to pull your birth chart For anybody who doesn't know what a birth chart or a natal chart is, it is a screenshot of the exact moment of the stars and planets when you came into the world. That is basically, depending on how it's used, a blueprint of not just you, but your entire life and things that can and cannot happen. Or things that possibly may happen and then they will happen. But you're going to need your birthplace, your full name, and specifically the date of time that you were born. You can make it a general one, as in it's just a general snapshot of that day. But if you have the exact time that you were born, it's going to be 10 times more detailed. But the app itself, over time of using it, it will break stuff down, and you will over time learn how to not only read your birth chart, but also be able to pick up on astrology as well. The reason that I'm saying this is because retrogrades in general can either be the most luckiest time of your entire life, or it can be the worst time of your entire life, or somewhere in between. But if you know this, then you can pre-plan ahead. So you can actually use retrogrades and other alignments and things, conjunctions, to your advantage. But yeah, Astrometrics, they have a website. They also have an app. If you download the app, you need to go into the settings and find the GPS and make sure that is calculated for your actual phone. The reason that's important is because if it's not on, the degrees of the planets and the houses that you're going to get updated on are theoretically not going to be legit. As in, they're going to be off a few degrees. So if you make sure the GPS is calculated, it'll be spot on to where your exact location is, which is crucial and key to reading astrology. Okay, I finished both books, Crossroads Conjure and Doctrine of the Devil. OMG, I love them. Oh, I bet you did. What if you were adopted? If you were adopted, you can use a general one. And I mean, I've used both before because I've asked my mom, yo, what time was I born? And she told me this time. And then I actually found my birth certificate and it was a completely different time. So you can do that. And then if you could at any point in time, try to find your birth certificate. Normally your birth certificate will have the time that you were born on. And there are theoretically some public online things that you can also extract that knowledge from as well. And then if you really deep dive into astrology and you actually like it and you vibe with it, there's also, I think it's called Cardo Astrology. I could be wrong on that, but it's using geology with your birth chart. So like say you're planning to move out of the country to another country, you can check that, and using ley lines and using astrology, it will actually pinpoint specific locations worldwide that like you would best be suited for, depending on what you're trying to do, like career wise, you know, depending on the house you're in. But another reason that I like the Astrometrics app is because they have a retrograde calendar for every planet. You get hourly and daily updates on. So basically, when you log in, you fill everything out. The app becomes your own personalized horoscope. And what I mean by that, in a horoscope astrological aspect, is literally the moon, every single planet, other things that are in an astrology chart, you get updates on, and you can read like paragraphs worth of information of like how this full moon's going to affect you, how this next degree of the moon is going to affect you. And if you can slowly incorporate it into your life, you can use certain things to your benefits. So yeah. And I actually just learned the other day that I have 2 placements which go into my claircognizance that I have. I'm saying that wrong, but claircognizance? It's basically clear knowing. It's the clair of clear knowing. It's right there next to clairvoyant. I mean, technically it kind of, I see them as the same, but anyways. And yes, in astrology, there's so much that you can do with astrology. If you would like to potentially find somebody to be able to read your charts, let me know. I know multiple people. But also, before you get into astrologers reading your charts, know that there are so many different types of readers and astrologers. Like, there are different types of astrology, but there are also different types of readers. I know one who reads it on, they concentrate more on the emotional and intelligent aspect versus somebody who's just doing a blind one, or there's so many different layers to it. So if you do ever get your chart read, in some way, shape, or form, try to find a second reader as well, just to compare them to. I had somebody read mine, and they're like, oh, well, by the age of this and this, you're going to become an alcoholic and all this other shit. No. I met somebody else who, as soon as I told them that, they're like, can I see your chart? And I'm like, well, here. Also, do not share your chart with just anybody. Like, do not take a screenshot of your chart and, like, post it online. Again, your birth chart, your natal chart, is literally a blueprint, not only to you, but any path that you could potentially take. The more information a witch knows about you, the more that they can do, on very large scales and very tiny scales. What I mean by that is, literally, if a witch knew astrology and they knew what they were doing, they could do a simple, like, 10-minute candle spell, and it could completely be catastrophic if they did it in the right timing, the right day, the right phase, and everything like that. It would literally be devastating. So don't just go willy-nilly telling people that. I rarely share my, like, 3 signs: my sun sign, my rising sign, and my ascendant sign. I barely even share that. So I wanted to prep y'all for that. Just make sure. Astrology is a different level. I have 2 different names. Harmful intentions, don't give them MO. Well, this is very true. And the names don't really matter when it comes to the birth chart. I just said that because I'm used to saying it, but specifically, the natal chart in general, it focuses on 2 things, and that's the GPS, the exact moment or city you were born in, and then the time that you were born in. And my birth chart is theoretically a minute to a minute and a half off. But as soon as I go digging, I'll be able to find my birth chart, everything like that. But yeah, the name's not really important. It's just the actual thing. And secondly, if you have 2 names, that can technically, theoretically work to your advantage when it comes to the witchy world, which is going to bring up the topic of witch names. So everybody's going to have a different definition of what the actual true witch name is. Some people are going to state that it has to be given to you. It's not something that can be chosen. Other people, especially if you're a solitary practitioner, you kind of do have to pick it yourself. Normally, you pick it during your initiation. I picked mine. Mine has changed, but I also had 2 different types. So the one that most people know are Fire Lotus or Fire, or the actual Fire Lotus the Witch. That's not my birth name. So I have my birth name, and then I have my online presence, Fire Lotus the Witch, and then I actually have my 2 different witch names that I have. But the reason it can be beneficial is because, but it's also very private, is because, obviously we live in a day and age where some people do not identify or resonate with their actual birth name. So they wind up, A, giving themselves a second name, or B, changing that, or just having a nickname that they go by. Again, when it comes to a practitioner, and normally I would say when it comes to a practitioner who knows what they're doing, but that's not always true. In my eyes, the most dangerous type of person is somebody who is a dabbler. Somebody who, A, doesn't necessarily believe in everything they're doing, and B, doesn't necessarily have all of the knowledge, and most importantly, the actual experience of what they're doing. Because it's like, I don't know if this is true or not, but I was always told baby rattlesnakes or baby venomous snakes are the most dangerous one, because an adult snake knows exactly how much venom to give their prey, right? A baby or an adolescent doesn't. So they could potentially give you they could give everything they have. So just because a witch's experience doesn't make them more powerful, because I've seen more fucked up shit, whether that's good fucked up shit or bad fucked up shit, from somebody who absolutely did not know anything that they were doing and they just kind of went with it. So yeah, but the more information somebody has on you, the more damage can be done, and or the more manipulation can be done. In general, if they're going to do something, they'll get info somehow. This is very true. That's why I call the birth name the government name. Yes, thank you. I say thank you, word that I was looking for, and my ADHD brain was like, you know what? / dyslexic. We're just gonna create a name. My aunt, I learned a little trick for purification with the lemon, camphor salt, and Florida water. Ooh. I gotta write this down, actually. Because I'm interested in this. Yeah. Oh, I think it's raining. I always heard that as well about the snakes. Yep. So always remember that. Just because they know things doesn't mean anything. So kind of made sense. And I think it's raining. Hold that thought. Ah! Phone. Okay, there we go. But so yeah, always remember that, and never the second greatest teaching I could ever tell somebody: never underestimate somebody. Again, what I've learned from some of the books that I've read, and that's on different practices as well. Here are the highest that should be on the top of almost every witch's list. And I mentioned one of these in the TikTok live. For one of the biggest responsibilities of a practitioner, two of the biggest. For one, knowing when and when not to use magic. Okay. Second one, representation. Know that at any point in time, whether you're online or offline, if you wear these symbols, primarily this one and this one, or any other occult witchy symbol, and you identify as a witch, know that, and this is not going to sound fair, it's extremely unfair, but that's how the world works. Know that you represent every other witch or practitioner out there, which means your actions will also reflect on every other practitioner out there. Now, what I mean by this is a lot of people who know nothing of witchcraft or spirituality besides random tidbits they learned online, when they see one witch do something, they're going to be like, oh, well, that's every other witch. It's not really, but again, on top of that, the second one is never underestimate somebody. I've done it before in so many situations, and it fucked me up. Also, never go into a battle or a witch war, I cannot believe I just used that term, thinking that you were going to win, because you will surely lose, because why? You're going to overestimate it. And also, baneful magic is not always the answer. Depending on the situation, you don't need to hex a bitch, you need to bless a bitch. Oh, I need that on a shirt. I'm writing that down. I thought. What I mean by that is, yes, info has power. Yes, 100%. And to slightly go more in depth with that, knowledge is power, power is knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the more power you have, but you also need experience. Hold on. Oh, I love that. Don't hex a bitch. Bless a bitch. Anyways, with that, the hexing and the blessing is if you have somebody in your life who they thrive in chaos, they thrive in arguments, they thrive in toxicity, right? Normally, those types of people, when good things start to really come in one after the other, whether they express it or not, they freak the fuck out because they know deep down inside that they probably don't deserve what the fuck's going on, and it drives them crazy. So literally kill them with kindness. Now obviously, yes, there are certain situations where you need to hex somebody, you need to bind them, you need a cow tongue, you need to throw them at the crossroads, stick them in a jar, so many things like that, but that's not always the case. And on top of that, depending on the situation, instead of hex, a retribution. Definition of a retribution spell, it's not going to be named that online. It's a spell that is worked, or a charm, or trick, or whatever terminology you want to use. It is something that it sets up a chain of events where the only time it stops is when the person has learned their lesson. Whatever that lesson is, it's when they learn it. So basically, it's like one of those great, what I call like a great grandmother test. It's where they're going to repeat things over and over again until you've actually learned the lesson. And then boom. So those are the main guidelines that I'd go against, or I'd go across. A controversial one, depending on the working, you don't necessarily need somebody's permission. Like, if you have a person, no matter what they're going through, they will never ask for help in any way, shape, or form when they really, really desperately need it. Doing a simple blessing. Now, with that being said, you also need to visualize. Now, I know when I say the term visualization, a lot of people's going to be like, well, I can't. What I mean by that is you need to make sure you're thinking this through. You need to, in some way, shape, or form, however your brain and your mind works, you need to try to see every possible outcome from the working that you are doing. And a lot of people don't realize that. I've seen so many people where they'll do money spells, and they're like, it's not working, it's not working. And then they're like, you know, I don't have any free time, I'm constantly working. Their 9-to-5 job, you know. Oh my God, it's working. If you have a 9-to-5 job, if you have a job that you go to 5 days, 4 days, whatever the fuck, a week, that is your main income coming in, and you do a money spell, if it is not specific enough, although remember though, when it comes to spell work, you either need to be A, under specific, and if you're too over specific, it can go awry. There's the balance. But if you're not specific with how that money's coming in, you're going to get more hours. People are going to call you to come into work. Why? Because that's your main source of income. So, and trust me, I learned that the hard way. So I was like, I'm not getting money. The blessings are not flowing in. And online, placebo effect wise, belief is power. But do not believe that you just listening to a single song, you're going to get like $36,000 fucking sent to your bank account. Because when I see them, I just want to comment, what if you don't have a bank account? Is it supposed to fall from the sky? Am I getting a check in the mail? So always remember that. And then also, certain situations, you don't need money. Obviously, if it's for like rent, electricity, food, shit like that, that's different. But if you're needing something or you're wanting something, instead of doing a money spell to get the money to buy the object, do a spell to get the object. What winds up happening is you're at a flea market or some random person hits you up and they're like, yo, I have a feeling you need this. I'm getting rid of it anyways. Boom. Yes, please, I'd buy it. Did that myself for years. Yep. It sometimes it sucks. It's a very weird witchcraft is a constant struggle of having enough time, enough patience, but also having enough, like, drive to be able to find the constantly changing balance between what's too much, what's not enough, what's overkill, and what's underkill. In every aspect of that. It's something I wish was in a book when I first started, because nobody ever told me that. In most Wiccan books, which again, not all Wiccans are the same, obviously, but way back in the day, 70s, 80s, and 90s, if you were to get a book on Wicca, which some of the only books you could really find on witchcraft back then, not the only, but some, they would always word it where it's like, you do this precise. And if you mispronounce a word, it's over, it won't work, redo it. No, you don't. If you're doing a spell, and you're reading something, or you're doing a ritual, and full on right, and you're having to read, or remember something, and you fuck up one word, do not stop everything and restart it. For one, if you're conjuring energies or summoning spirits and stuff while you're doing this ritual, what do you think they're doing? They're sitting over there on the timeline, tapping on their clock, like, hello, come on now, speed this up. I don't have all time. I got other witches to meet. I got other things to do. In that moment, you laugh because you're taking it too serious. Again, finding that balance. Witchcraft is really serious, and it needs to be taken serious, but at the same time, if you're too serious, it's not going to work because you're too serious. So yeah, it's about finding this very weird balance, and that balance is different depending on what you're doing, and depending on who you are, and what type of magic you practice, and what deities or entities you associate with. Shit, I know some witches who, besides their spirit guides and ancestors, they don't identify or recognize any spirits out there, like gods, goddesses, things like that. I'm an amethyst, so I'm like, ah! They're everywhere. So. Example, you want $100, you can write your petition $10. Yes, 100%. If you're writing a petition or you're doing money magic, always go 10 below, and in some situations, go $10 over. Never ask for the exact amount. You always ask for a little bit more or a little bit of less. Because normally what winds up happening is you actually get the exact amount that you need. Or maybe like that and like say $5 left over. That's Gardner. Oh! My biggest pet peeve about people knowing I'm a practitioner is having to explain science is still a thing. Oh my god, yes! And yes, taking a step back can also help too. But yeah, same. Now, I will admit, I was not always that person who's like, there is a scientific aspect to this, alright? I was not always that person. And to certain things, I'm still not. Because, I mean, I understand it's science. It's just unverified science. And I mean, shit, at this point, science is really catching up. But I don't know, it's weird. Again, it's about finding that balance and knowing that balance is going to change, and your beliefs and your views are also going to rapidly change as well. YouTube music. I don't know what you're going through right now. But this is not it. And yes, it is 100% okay to take a break from your practice and or spell work. 100% with that one. And then sometimes, again, like I mentioned before, you don't even need spell work. You just need to put it out there in the universe. And when I say that, some people are like, well, that's spell work. No. Going and getting a piece of paper and making a list of 5 things that you need for some reason in shape or form and burning it, yes, it's witchcraft, but at the same time, you are burning it to release it into the universe. As in, you're not saying, okay, I'm petitioning you, or hey, I'm doing this spell work. You're just throwing it out there. Witchcraft is weird. There's no formula to it. There's formulas, but there's no actual formulation to it. It's like when people are like, oh, well, just manifest it. Sally, I'm really sorry to tell you, I can be extremely positive, and I can manifest, and I got the crystals, the moldavite, all this shit. But on a scientific mathematical level, me walking into a grocery store doing a spell for the past week, for a week long, doing multiple money spells, and then the chances of me walking into the right store at the right time to buy a scratch off and or print off one, and then that being the exact one that will win the lottery, statistically and mathematically, are too astonishing to even really be a thing. But you can still win money without winning the jackpot lottery. You just gotta find a way around it, but also know that manifestation, some of the videos you'll see online where it's like, wow, I listened to this song on repeat and, you know, I've got $6,000 in my bank account. In some way, shape, or form, they had that money out there prior to it just randomly coming to you. Because if magic worked like that, I would be living in at least a more modern day trailer or in even an actual house, okay? So. But anyways, I would love to continue, but I realized that 20 minutes bled off into almost an hour. But I enjoyed this. But I do got to go. I got to set some things up and do some other things, and then I must feed Sir Bubbers. Although it does not look like he has food on his mind at all. I do got to feed them. Him, his sister, and the kitties outside. But every day I watch your videos on YouTube, and I learned lots from you 2 years ago. So thank you. Of course. And thank you for like rewatching my content. Thank you. That's actually my dream. I may never blow up and be viral and be a really, really big creator, but I know that people over time will find those videos and learn from it in some way, shape, or form. And then I'm happy. If I can help one person or help somebody learn something or see something in a different perspective every day, I'm happy. But yeah, I got to go do house chores, unfortunately. Although I'd really love to just like enchant shit where it's like in the fucking Disney movie and the brooms and shit's just walking around. Anyways, it's most of my practice lately. Oh, I feel you on that one. But yeah, anybody who rewatches this, because I will be reposting this, we have a Discord, YouTube. Obviously, you're here on YouTube. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and podcast. I was like, holy shit, did I forget anything? If only, right? But yeah, I have all of that. Just click the link tree, and that'll take you to all of that. The Discord is absolutely amazing. It is 18 plus because there are some topics that we go over, and I don't feel like hearing your parents cuss me out. All right, I'm sorry. But yeah, click the linkies, do the thingies, share this to a group. All right, share this to a Facebook group, a Discord, an online group. I don't know, share it. But anyways, I will see y'all later. Talk to y'all later. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can feel free to message me on other platforms or send me an email directly, firelotusthewitch@gmail.com. I'm going to listen to your podcast on repeat tonight. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And also, new episodes of the podcast will be coming. I've just got to get up with other people and, you know, reschedule things because holidays fuck a lot of shit up. Anyways, until then, you're amazing. Y'all have a reason for being here. The storm that you're in right now will eventually pass and the sun will be shining. I promise. It's just a little turbulent spot. It will pass. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.